AI can turn logistics into a competitive advantage through smarter carrier selection, forecasting, and delivery or optimization. Welcome to Nasdaq Trade Talks, where we meet with the top thought leaders and strategists in emerging technologies, digital assets, regulatory landscape, and capital markets. I'm your host, Jill Malandrino, and joining me on the desk at the Nasdaq market site, we have Behrens Wu, CEO of Shippo, Russell Hoppus, Vice President of Solutions and Delivery at Locus, Ajesh Kapoor, Founder and CEO of SemiCab, as well as Issac Wong, Executive Vice President of Research and Development at Cockroach Labs. Can't wait to hear about that one. We're here to discuss the impact of AI on global supply chains and commerce. It is great to have all of you with us. Welcome to Trade Talks. Laura, let's kick it off with you. Quick background on Shippo, where you sit within the supply chain space.
Yeah, it's nice to be here, Jill. Thank you. My name is Behrens Wu. I'm the founder and CEO of Shippo. We're building the shipping layer of the internet. Our customers are SMBs, platforms and marketplaces, and they all need to ship. We take care of that last mile delivery aspect, so from the warehouse to the customer.
Right, and Russell, Locus.
Sure, we're an all-mile, all-channel transportation management solution. Today, our latest technology, Disco, essentially evolves within the supply chain as an all-agent offering. We have multiple agents that help solve complex real-world decision-making for all supply chains focused in the enterprise realm of the world.
And SemiCab, I would imagine more in the transportation area?
We manage the truckload side of the business. And the big thing that we are trying to do is we have gone through a journey of digitization, connecting different parties, building multi-enterprise networks. At the same time, just digitization or just scaling doesn't really lead to optimal networks, and network resources get wasted. We talk about empty miles, 1 out of 3 trucks running empty. That is basically what we are trying to address by orchestrating the entire resource on all sides of the demand and supply equation.
All right. Isaac, Cockroach Labs, appropriate for being here in the middle of Times Square.
Yeah, thanks for having us. We build at Cockroach Labs, we build Cockroach Database, which is a resilient, scalable, thrives anywhere database for managing all the data powering business processes in e-commerce, in shipping, and any place where you need data to run your business.
Yeah, now let's get to the conversation here, Laura. When we think about AI as a great simplifier in logistics, we understand the efficiencies that AI offers, not just supply chain and commerce, but industries overall. But we're now starting to think beyond efficiency. Tell us how you're considering, going from a cost center to actually being a strategic part of the model.
Yes, so shipping is incredibly complex. Like, it is a real life process where packages are being moved in the real world. So a lot of things can go wrong. And it is one of those things that, like, normally it requires an expert to figure this out. And with AI today, we're able to turn anyone into that sort of shipping expert. And I think the strategic aspect is really like about meeting the customer promise, making sure that the end customers are satisfied, that they're getting their packages on time. It's not just about driving costs down, but it's about meeting the customer expectations about arrival times, transit times, and customer satisfaction.
Yeah, so Russell, it sounds like there's a real shift from forecasting to replanning and refining the strategy overall.
Yes, you're right. Today, we're moving away from the old model being having a solid forecast, a plan, and then you execute. The new model is replanning and re-optimizing in minutes, right? Yeah. All the different things that are happening in the world today, you have to shift your supply chain, ensure your supply chain can be agile enough with AI agents, with the focus on ensuring that we plan accordingly, but also being able to re-optimize our plan in real time, allowing for the success of each supply chain within the world.
Yeah, I mean, speaking of freight, $1 trillion in spending is lost each year. That's an astronomical number.
It is, and I think that's what brings us to when we talk about efficiencies. There is process efficiency and there is a network efficiency improvement, which happens to be much more structural than anything else. So when we talk about optimizing in silos, planning in silos, executing in silos, it becomes like you're literally managing lane by lane.
Right.
You're going from New York to Chicago, and Chicago doesn't know that there's another truck that I need to go from Chicago to New York or Chicago to Atlanta. So when the imbalance in the supply chains, in the individual supply chains, it gets accentuated. That's the entire piece of how you want to go about not just the process part of it, because you can have agents that are working full time, but if you are putting it on top of the entire efficient structure, which is orchestrated by AI, I think that basically takes you to a very, very different level. It's a 1 in 3 trucks, I think is simple to say, but when you talk about if you had 1 in 3 planes flying empty,
Yeah.
everybody knows that any inefficiency at that structural level, you are paying for it, right? It's in trucking, it gets hidden because we don't really look inside the trucks. But when we look at trucks on the road, 1 in 3 driving empty, the others not driving full, it becomes a big, huge problem, and it's a big part of the overall economy.
Isaac, what about coordinating at scale on a global level? I can't wrap my head around that.
Yeah, no, it's a very interesting problem, and I think you've heard from everyone this need for agility, silos, constant information. I think underpinning all of that is you need a data subsystem that's first, doesn't matter how good your intelligence is if that system's not running. So you need resiliency, you need to serve that traffic. But I think it's something that gets forgotten in the mix is accuracy and correctness. Right? You want to make the right decisions. You want all these thousands of agents making all the right decision faster and faster instead of the wrong decision faster and faster. And I think it's critical at that scale that you have a system that can coordinate and ensure that no matter where you are, everyone agrees on the accurate information.
So it sounds like the infrastructure is data at this point.
I think so. I think anytime you digitize a business process, it eventually rests on data, and that data, you need it to be available, accurate, and scalable.
Yeah. How are you thinking about that, as it relates to resiliency and data as the infrastructure and, combining that with human skill sets as well?
Yeah. So there is so much data in logistics. Like, I think it's very noisy for a human to understand, and that's the part where AI can come in and help simplify that. And what we see right now is that everyone has these dashboards. They have access to data that is already available, but like today, humans need to sift through that data to understand how to make better decisions. And what we envision in the future is that this is all agentic, this is all intelligent, and an AI model can make those decisions for our customers, or at least give the right recommendations that are then approved by humans. So humans will always be there to set the guardrails, to set their preferences, but real-time decision-making, it just needs to happen so fast. And to your point about resilience, I think things will always go wrong in logistics, just because things are moving in this real world, and like packages get lost. Like, it's not online, it's offline. And like in an offline world, human error can happen, weather can happen, like supply chain disruption can happen. But it's about like the speed of decision making, the speed of changing things up. And that's where AI can really be much, much speedier than a human can.
Yeah, and with all this data that is within the global supply chain, proactive modeling, I think, is going to be key, to Laura's point, whether you're thinking about governance, privacy, cybersecurity, and so forth. Data is the commodity. I mean, you're scaling this at such a massive level. You have to be thinking about proactivity versus being reactive to a real-time situation.
Yes, historical data, historical events, right? I think we have a lot of data supporting information that comes from the historical side. But now we're moving into a predictive model, right? A lot of the AI agentic focus has been ensuring that today we get more predictive, we become more proactive. We use real-time events like weather, like traffic, even with real-world geopolitical events, right? All of those shift supply chains across the world, and you have to be very proactive in ensuring that you're protecting the end customer, you're protecting your client, ensuring that you're able to move things from point A to point Z with knowing that there are going to be these events, and that becomes the new norm.
Right. Ajesh, though, if that's how you're perceiving it from a specific company perspective, how about all of your partners? Are they approaching it in in the same way?
Yeah, this is the journey we've been on, where I started working with large enterprises, logistics service providers, in an enterprise-centric manner. When we take it to the next level, we're basically saying performance at a location level for one company, it impacts every other company. When we start to build resiliency into it, you're not going to change the way the market works. You're not going to change the trucks getting lost. You're not going to change a whole lot of stuff that actually happens in life. But to Russell's point, we manage it proactively by building a whole lot of contingency into the model, because trucks are moving, loads are available, demand is variable across the entire spectrum. And then we, on the execution side, that contingency helps. But then we have the risk monitor that basically brings in all the outside data. You cannot manage today's supply chain, even at an enterprise level, without a big, huge monitor. I'm not talking about basic visibility, right? That we have enabled on global supply chains. But when you start taking that information along with everything else from the outside and start impacting it, that's where you see the next level of efficiency. It's that doesn't exist today, right?
Isaac, how long do these infrastructures last? Are they sustainable? Are they adaptable?
Yeah, I think a lot of the infrastructures are going to have a lot of problem in this coming world. We've talked to a lot of customers, and we hear that 50 to 60% think they're within a couple of years of saturating their data systems and not being able to scale to meet that need.
So what do they do with this infrastructure? I mean, are they thinking about building the next iteration now?
I think more than building it, people are looking for a data system that can meet those needs. And I think it's a very interesting problem. It's a very hard problem to solve, a lot of these distributed data and resiliency and accuracy. So I think people are looking to migrate and upgrade their systems to more modern data systems that meet the needs of this agentic world, where it's not just humans driving traffic, but it's thousands and thousands of agents per human driving traffic.
I mean, Laura, we also have to think about the AI agents, the non-human identities as well, and what the guardrails are going to look like around that. We saw the vulnerabilities that existed during COVID, and we've learned a lot, which is a good thing, and how to accelerate improvements with the supply chain as it relates to that. But how do you think about the guardrails around NHI and agents?
I think every e-commerce merchant is different. So everyone has to set their own guardrails, whatever works with their brand, whatever works with their audience. So this is something that's different, like merchant by merchant. And then within those constraints that our customers set, like we can optimize not just with their own data set, but with the data set that we see around the whole customer base. And that where it becomes really interesting. And I think some very simple optimizations that we're looking at right now are just like, it starts with how long is it going to take for a package to arrive? And like right now we have static transit times from the shipping providers, but we can actually tell our customers when it will actually arrive based on like real-time data, based on weather patterns, based on everything we see in the network. And I think that's where it becomes really interesting. Even those simple questions have not been answered accurately just yet. And shipping is such a complex topic that AI can really turn everyone into a shipping expert.
Yeah, well, I mean, coming from the consumer perspective, Amazon is at my house all the time. It's 10 stops away. It's 5 stops away. This is when you can expect it to arrive. Things you order at 9 o'clock at night are at your door at 4 a.m. It is the entire infrastructure as a consumer. It's just so hard to wrap your head around. We didn't even think of it. We take it for granted. Oh, I need a bottle of Advil. I'll go on Amazon. It'll be here tomorrow morning.
Yeah, no, that's a great point, right? I mean, I think the end consumer benefits from the final mile, right? We see a lot of times when the final mile piece has been automated, and they've been able to get closer to that customer promise date. Right, but now we're in a world where we need to focus upstream, the manufacturing, predicting forecasts there, but being able to use AI agents to make mid-mile decisions, not just from a distribution center to a final mile, but also upstream, so that the end customer can benefit from whoever they're ordering from, receiving the best information available based on real-world scenarios.
So will all these agents talk to each other throughout different companies? Is it going to be engineered as such?
They have to, right? So I think Amazon is a perfect example. When we are talking about it, other companies, smaller retailers, try to compete with that model. Didn't really have the scale to manage that part of it. The big, huge piece that comes in the middle in our model is when we create a multi-enterprise network, there are certain guardrails already in place. People are trying to do business with you, both on the supply and demand side, all the other partners that are coming in. The neutral orchestrator sitting in the middle, that has been the key till now, is where these companies, if they were working directly with each other, the agents talking to each other within companies, that model, just think about, again, going back to the airplane example, right? All the flights going direct. if you had no hubs. That becomes much, much harder to manage. Now, I'm not saying there shouldn't be direct flights between Atlanta, New York, Atlanta, San Francisco, but there is a balance there that we have to manage. And right now, I think that is the part that is evolving the fastest. It has to go where you're not going to stop agents talking to agents, acting on those what is coming out, but how you learn and how you put the guardrails around it, especially in a scaled up environment, that leads to efficiency. But that's if you don't guard against it, that can lead to chaos also. And chaos is like just completely prevalent in the logistics space, right?
Well, I mean, think about it from a security perspective as well, Isaac, right? You're reliant on all these different agents and different third parties and so forth, and if vulnerability is exposed with one of them, it trickles down through the system, I would imagine.
Yeah, I think in this new agentic world, there's a lot of lessons from the distributed systems world where dealing with mistakes or people getting the wrong information. And there's all these instances where there's this problem, the classic problem called the thundering herd, where if some groups, something breaks, everyone starts running to the new place, and then they break that one. And then everyone starts running to a new place. It's like, I don't know if people saw Fantasia when Mickey Mouse had all those brooms. And I think that's a big problem that's going to be hitting the industry as all these agents collaborate. How do we control, unlike Mickey Mouse, all these brooms that are doing destructive things? And I think a key part of that is going to be accurate information, like a clear, accurate, consistent information that all agents can agree on. This depot is down, or this airport is getting delays. Right. If not all parts of the system agree on that, then you can get a lot of chaotic behavior.
Yeah, well, but that's encouraging to hear, because Laura, there's a difference between developing the technology to execute on this, but being able to think about risk management in advance and recognizing there are going to be slip-ups.
Yeah.
And what are our response plans like, right? And it's encouraging to hear that that's part of the model, and it's just not the technology that's being evaluated.
Yeah, I think that's exactly right. It's like anomaly detection is such a big deal in logistics. And right now it is humans who are trying to detect anomalies within the data sets. And as I said, everyone has these big dashboards that they're looking at and they think they have control over things, but it's just too much data for a human to consume, and the decisions need to be made in a real-time manner. So yeah, that's, I think, really, like when we talk about shipping intelligence or intelligence in logistics, I think it's AI making all of these like real-time, everyday decisions, as long as it's within the constraints that the customer has set.
What happens if global supply chains start to become more onshoring, right? And you have to shift that entire model around. Is that possible? Using this type of technology.
I mean, I think right now our model that we use is called human in the loop. Right? We consider the fact that a human is going to be involved at some point in the decision. That might differ based on the different agent, right? So an agent might be a simpler agent where they're the agent's set up just to make certain decisions on certain aspects. The human's interaction with that might be a lot less. But as we're training AI agents, we're also training humans. And the human role, right? We're moving from dispatcher, planner. Now they're moving to basically managing the policies of those AI agents and the individuals who are actually participating in helping roll out AI agents onshore. They're now becoming more skilled in the aspect of training AI agents.
Right, and that's encouraging to me as well, because AI as it stands right now is not dynamic enough to respond to those types of situations.
Yeah, it's. I think it depends on which space we are talking about. When we went to a full AI-enabled model, and then we had to scale back. Then we learned a few things from that process where we said, okay, we don't really need, for the entire network when it is operating, I think it was a good 70% of our network, could operate completely autonomously. But then you start bringing in other factors and we start learning from it, and the humans get involved. How the humans were going to react to it was the first one. The second part, just like Russell was talking about, what can they step up to? What are their capabilities? How do you train them to do these things that when things are changing this fast? I think the pace of change, I think, is the key difference right now. Mm-hmm. For the entire digitization journey and the visibility journey, we took a good 25 years.
Yeah.
This change is happening in a matter of weeks and months at a time, right? Sometimes we introduce new stuff and it literally the pace of development, the pace of introducing technology, that's completely changing. So how quickly are we able to adapt, and what the humans are able to do in that loop, I think that becomes critical for us to evaluate.
All right. Appreciate everyone's insight. Thanks for joining us on Trade Talks. And thanks for joining me from MarketSite. I'm Jill Malandrino, Global Markets Reporter at Nasdaq.